Burford, I'll sit him right here just in case somebody wants one. You doing something?
I know. I know it. Yeah.
Put it right. We'll put it right there.
Deputy Ray. Okay. What?
Excuse me.
As well. Okay. Okay. As soon as he walks in the door, we'll get started. There he is. Chief Deputy Wright, you can come on up here. Great. Cover. Okay. That side right there. Everybody good? Y'all ready? Okay. Okay. good? You think it'll work right there?
Yeah, just lay it on the
All right.
podium and then you follow it.
Okay. Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Memphis Police Department's rain station so that we could come together and address the community and all of our listeners about what we as a community aspire to do to make this a safer place for our community members here in Rain Station and also throughout our city. So today, as I said, we're coming together with the individuals that stand behind me and beside me as an illustration of our unity together to work towards a better and a safer community. On yesterday afternoon, we all experienced a very somber moment as we mourn the loss of one of our very own community members. While we are angry and frustrated about this senseless act of violence, we also know that this adverse and terrible situation has really prompted us all to a call to action. I want to thank individuals here who you will hear from momentarily. Colonel Retired James Kirkwood, also a minister in our community and an activist. Reverend Martin McCain of Grace United Methodist Church. Representative Karen Camper, who is here representing this community as well, and our very own Councilmember Patrice Robinson. I will give them all an opportunity to speak with you. I want to thank the men and women of the Memphis Police Department who are here, our leadership, the Sheriff's Department, and as I said, the many clergy and leaders from our community who have come together at very short notice so that we could talk about and provide an update on information surrounding the heinous killing of Dr. Arturo Eason Williams, an activist, a community member, a person who is beloved in this Rain Station and Whitehaven community. We know as a police department that we cannot solve crimes by ourselves. And while we have made some ground in this particular investigation, we still realize that we need other individuals to come forward and provide information regarding this terrible, terrible loss. As we continue to use all of our resources to bear here in the city of Memphis, the Memphis Police Department is in great need of more community support. Incidents like these should make everyone have sleepless nights. It should make everyone have feelings of hurt and pain, just as this community has feelings and sentiments of hurt and pain and loss. We should all feel that same sense of loss as we have lost one of our community members. And not just with this particular incident, every time we lose a community member to a violent act, we should not be able to eat. We should not be able to sleep. We should not be able to do anything or even have peace unless we all feel compelled to do something, to communicate, to help solve these crimes, and even better, to prevent these crimes. So at this time, what I'd like to do is give a few individuals that are standing here with me an opportunity to address you. Some of these individuals were close to Dr. Williams. Many of them knew her well and worked with her in the community. So what we would like to do is give them an opportunity to talk about what we need to do as a community and how we should come together to stop these senseless acts of violence. So at this time, I want to bring up Reverend Martin McCain from Grace United Methodist Church.
As we gather today, we are saddened. I've known Dr. Arturo Eason Williams when she began ministry. She started off working as a youth pastor at Centenary Church in South Memphis. And I watched her progress and grow coming through our ordination process in the United Methodist Church, and she was just beginning her second year as the district superintendent of the Metro District of the Tennessee Western Kentucky Annual Conference. And in the United Methodist Church, a district superintendent is a big position. And for her to hold that as a black female, and she wasn't the first, she was about the third or the fourth, but she held her job well. And we're hurting with it because of what happened. It happened in her community. And I know when she moved into this community, she stopped by my church to let me know that she had moved into Whitehaven. And I was excited about that. We were all excited about her just continuing her ministry. But then when the bishop appointed her as a district superintendent, we were proud. And all of us were proud, especially those of us who knew her going from a layperson to seminary. And she just got her doctorate just a year or so ago. And so we're hurting. And so we need your support to continue to pray with us as the church is hurting with this heinous crime. And so we should continue to ask you for your prayers. And we also encourage each and every person to be safe. And if you see something, say something. Thank you.
Thank you. Colonel James Kirkwood, retired and minister in this community.
Good evening. I got this information early this morning, and I began to go on this emotional roller coaster, from anger to tears to sadness to just frustration. I met Pastor Eason Atura when I first became a lieutenant colonel in the Hickory Hill area. She's the pastor of the Capeville United Methodist Church, and she was awesome. And her strongest advocation was for young people. She fought for young people. It was so important that young people have a chance. And so I really want us to understand that police can never, ever solve problems by themselves. And, you know, we got a lot of programs coming into play. You have GVIP through the mayor. We have Cure Violence. We have 901 Block Squad, 901, Heal 901. We have Memphis Allies, all these violent interruptive programs coming into our city. But if we believe that they will be able to do it by themselves, we are fooling ourselves. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all these pastors. Some kind of way we got to open the doors of our churches, our gyms, our grounds, and we got to create inspirational outreach that will target our young people, target the same people gangs are targeting. You got to we have to go after our young people. They are ours, they belong to us, and God has put them here up under our care, and we got to make a difference. You all, if ever was a time, the time is now. And look at somebody, look, you can't wait till tomorrow. And so we got to get together now, and we got to begin to plan and strategize along with our police department, along with everybody, along with the violence interrupters programs. You got to begin to make a difference. You cannot let these deaths be in vain. Pray for the family. She was a mother. She was a wife. And whatever we feeling, multiplied times 100. That's what they're feeling. It's a heavy day.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Patrice Robinson, and then we'll hear from Representative Karen Camper.
This is a very sad day in the community. I had an opportunity last night to attend a prayer vigil in honor of Dr. Williams. I haven't had the opportunity to meet her yet, but my staff was scheduling a meeting so that we could have coffee together. Know that my heart is broken, that I'll never be able to meet that community member who wanted to reach out to me and add value to our community. As your councilwoman, I got letters all morning long about what Patrice Robinson is going to do. I hear your voices. I am responding to you that we cannot do it by ourselves. Our police director cannot do it without her staff, and they can't do it without us. If you see something, tell it. If you know some kids that are not doing the right thing, it's now time to come out of those houses. We can no longer be comfortable like Councilwoman Robinson. When I drive in my community and drive in my driveway, I feel like I am safe. I am going to close the garage now. Start taking action, sharing with neighbors. Neighborhood watch is something good. Stop trying to ask other people what they're going to do. What are you going to do? Pray for the family. This is a very, very, very tough time of grief and sorrow. Know that the members of this community will be praying, will be watching, will be telling, and we will be reinforcing what we need to do in our community. God bless. May your hearts be blessed, and may you now go forth and do what you should do as a citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Some of you may know that Artura was my cousin, and my sister and cousin are here with me, and we are hurting. The family is in shock, and it's just unimaginable right now what the family is going through. So I thank everybody for their prayers. I want to thank the Pastors Network as well, because you guys have been there over the years to just keep our community strong. And we know that you are working very hard in our communities. And you're right, there is more to do. I also want to make it clear, though, it's also the district that I represent. So I'm here as the representative of this district, as well as a cousin to the person whose life has been lost in our community. We do need to work together to end this senseless violence that's happening in our community. Way too much. And not just here in Whitehaven, but in our city, period, and even in our country. We just heard the other day that there was an individual planning to shoot up the FedEx Forum, people coming out. We've got to do more innovative and preventative measures for our citizens. And I do think we need to support the efforts of the chief and the sheriff and all the things that law enforcement are doing to try to get in front of some of the senseless crimes. But again, they cannot do it by themselves. And it is a plea to the community. Let's bind ourselves together. Let's put forward our own good faith efforts and take our own responsibilities to help end some of this violence, and particularly gun violence that's plaguing our community. I also want to make it clear that we're reaching out to every elected officer, every elected individual, every person who is serving in elected leadership to come up with not only more ways and more innovative thoughts of how we can tackle this, but be willing to fund it. Be willing to find the resources that our community so desperately need right now to make the changes we know is possible. And when our children see that this is what we're trying to do, I think they'll understand that we care about them and we can make change in this community, in the city of Memphis, county of Shelby, and indeed in the state of Tennessee. So I appreciate you all being here, and I really do appreciate everybody praying for the family. the children are just, they're in shock. So it's going to take prayer to get us through. And we're grateful for all the prayers, and Chief, we're grateful for what you're doing. We know the work that we know the work that you're doing. But like you said, it's going to take all of us. And you see here, you have an army of people waiting, ready to help you as we move this city forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, our hearts and prayers go out to the members of the family that are here today for this event. I know it took strength to be able to stand here and talk about this incident. Also want to thank the Sheriff's Department, who played a significant role working with our department on a regular basis as we bring individuals that would do harm to our community to justice. I will say, and I'll be glad to answer some questions regarding this incident, but I will say that I am immensely proud of the men and women of law enforcement in our community and of our department. They have worked quickly and worked collaboratively to generate leads on this particular case. Not just this case, but they work together on a regular basis to bring to justice that have done egregious crimes in our city. So at this time, what I would like to do is answer any questions. As you may know, we are limited in the manner of questions that we can respond to, but I will give you as much information as I can at this time about this incident. Yes,
Chief
Brad.
Davis, carjackings, this one, and I'll toss to you, we believe it came from your family, on the rise, this case, East Memphis, Midtown, year to year.
Yes.
What's the police department specifically doing to address the specific issue of carjackings, and what advice would you like to give the community about any tips of vigilance for them as they're out and about going to their cars?
Absolutely. Some of the various violent crimes that we've seen in the city of Memphis requires patrol. It requires individuals who are assigned to specific units that actually target, look for, identify individuals that are in stolen vehicles, because many of the crimes are being committed with stolen vehicles, as was the crime that was committed on yesterday. So just to be able to be proactive and prevent individuals riding around in stolen vehicles, those stolen vehicles are being used in other serious crimes. We have made significant arrests since we've stood up our auto theft task force. We've also stood up our fugitive unit and our scorpion unit. Even though we've made significant arrests, this problem is so pervasive that we need our community members to be more proactive and preventive as it relates to being alert when you're traveling about to and from. Make sure that you're paying attention around you. Make sure that you're reporting suspicious behavior to the Memphis Police Department as well.
One-time carjackings in recent days. What
Yes.
would be your advice if someone gets hit, maybe it's a little suspicious, should they drive potentially before it gets out of hand?
The idea is always to think in terms of your personal safety. If you have any type of suspicion about the incident that has occurred, whether it was a bump or some type of accident, if it's late at night, you know, the old adage that you need to stay where you are until the police come, that's not necessarily the case, especially at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. If you can move to a safer space, then it's best to move to a lit area and wait for the police there. Safety first. Always be observant, and if, you know, follow your instincts.
Chief Davis, you said that this vehicle that was used in this crime was stolen. So have you recovered the vehicle that was used, and also have you made any arrests?
We have individuals in custody that are persons of interest. And at this time, we are pursuing interviews and working with those individuals and other individuals that might be witnesses. But we do have individuals in custody that are persons of interest.
Also, I learned or heard that the victim's vehicle was found in Jackson, Tennessee. Is that true?
I'm going to have to, have we, that's not true at this.
A lot of these crimes are being committed with stolen guns, and maybe Ms. Robinson could help us with this. involved, that if someone steals a gun out of a car, which we talk about all the time, could they face a fine similar to like if you leave your car running and it's stolen? Could something like that be worked out?
Absolutely. We are really working not just with City Council about new ordinances and legislation to make our community safer and to get in front of some of these crimes. We're also working with the state. We had great success last year with our state representatives supporting legislation that we feel will help move us in a direction where individuals that are committing these crimes will have stiffer penalties, and it'll also help deter some of the crimes that we're seeing. But we always have opportunities to take a look at our own city ordinances as well.
And the department
Yes.
says more than 3,000 vehicles have been stolen throughout the year. What message would you tell people who are committing these crimes? This ended with devastation.
Yes, this particular crime, and this is just one that touched a number of people in our community. However, any crime is devastating to the victim that is experiencing it. And we are treating every one of these types of incidents seriously, and we are working to bring these individuals to justice. As new legislation has passed, we want to represent the victims of these crimes. The victims and their families, they deserve justice. And so we plan to use all of the, various legislative avenues that we can, working with our DA's office and even our federal prosecutors, to be relentless in bringing individuals to their day in court.
Chief, can you tell us you said there were suspects apprehended. Can you identify those suspects for us?
Not at this time, no.
Is it
Yeah.
possible that you can give the ages, because a lot of these crimes are particularly involving around teens? So,
Yes.
what about ages?
At this time, the individuals that are in custody, they are classified as juveniles.
Chief Davis, the fact that this happened in broad daylight, literally a block away from Park, where, there are people there all the time. I guess, what are your thoughts about just the brazen nature of, especially these juveniles that you just described these suspects are?
Well, and it goes back to us talking about, how our citizens have to help us with curtailing some of the incidents that we see, because we're not living in the same day as we did 15 or 20 years ago, when we could go to the park or we could pull up in our driveways. Unfortunately, it's not just here in the city of Memphis, but these are crimes that are occurring and prevalent around the country right now in major cities. And you're right, brazen, bold, heinous, and we want our citizens to help us protect them as well.
Last question.
Any other advice to the public, what they can do? I know this is rattling a lot of people across the city right now.
Absolutely. I say get involved. We're calling on every church, every civic group, every sorority, every fraternity, every individual that is working in some type of social activism, civic activism, community activism role. We want you to be mobilized. We want to be more proactive as opposed to responsive to these types of crimes. Our ministers have brought to our attention as well that we need to work with young people before they get 15 and 16 years old. We need to mobilize in the community and deal with the root causes so that we are not constantly running behind serious and catastrophic incidents. And that's what this call is all about. This is to call not just these individuals who have willingly come forward to say that they will be a part of solutions in the city of Memphis, to work with us and expand our reach to other individuals that have influence and power to help us change what we see here in this city. You have my pledge, you have the Memphis Police Department's pledge. And we are ever grateful for those individuals that would step up and help support us in these efforts. So thank you all again for coming. I applaud these individuals for being with us, and I look forward to a stronger partnership in the future. Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. We're going to get together, because this ain't going to